Hey, kia ora, Helen Brom's here coming to you live from Surprise in Arizona. Hope you're having a super fantastic sparkling day. Welcome to Before the Dirt Nap podcast number 1693. We are getting up there in numbers. I apologize for being late. I got caught up on the genealogy research again, and I was just sending an update to the person who had contacted me that lives in Kansas City, who contacted me about our DNA connection. And so this morning I got done my client stuff. I got all of that done early and quickly. And then I had like a couple of hours before I went onto the chat, and plus lunch, I used half my lunch break as well. So I had a couple of hours, really 2.5, to start to dig more into the tree to see if I could find that connection. And then I spent the last 2 hours since I got off the thing working on it again. And oh my gosh, it is so mind-blowing. So we started off with, he had listed like 8 different surnames, and 3 of them I have in my tree. 3 last names I have in my tree. They're Kent, Adams, and Batchelor. I haven't started on the Batchelor side yet. I've been working on the Allen, Kent, and Batchelor. The Allen one is kind of sort of might be a dead end because the person was adopted. So that might be a dead end. We don't know. But if we are connected through that link, we may never find out how that link happens because of the adoption from an orphanage. On the Kent side, I have been working diligently today and filling in some gaps, going wide, because as if you've heard me before, you know, sometimes you got to go wide in order to go up the tree. So you got to go wide to find out more information about the family, because there could be a connection with a child there that gives you sorry, somebody just sent me a message I've been waiting on. Turn the phone down so I don't have to look at it. Yes, so sometimes you got to go wide, and sometimes there may be more information about a parent or other siblings that gives you information that you can then go to the next level of going backwards. And so I'm working around the early-ish 1800s, I think it is. Yeah, early to mid 1800s is where I've been working today, and finding lots of great information. And then I was working on the Kent name, and on one of them I went wide. I found all of his children. One of was it the wife's obituary? I think it was the wife's obituary. Said that all, and I think it was like 9 children were living when the mother passed away, and it listed all the children. So I went back and I went, I'm missing 3. So I went back and typed those 3 in there, and found out more information. But when I typed those 3 in there, when I was looking at the obituary, of course, it puts the daughter's married name, not their maiden name, which is okay because I know their maiden name. But I'm looking down this list and I'm like, there's a Sykes. There's an Adams. I have those 2 names in my family tree. And so now so it could be that my connection comes up through either the Adams or the Sykes side of the things, because we go to the common grandparent is where it is, and then you count down the generations from there. So yeah, it's like, so it is quite possible we could be connected through those. And so I was just like, this is like amazing. We've got so many surnames in common in both of our trees. Yes, most of my family is in New Zealand, but I have English roots, I have Scottish roots, I have Irish roots, I have Scandinavian roots. Yes, there was a rumor in my family years ago. My uncle told me that he heard a rumor that we were related to Vikings. Yeah, it's quite possible. One, we've got the Scottish. Well, I have the Scottish back. Actually, on that side, on Dad's side of the family, we also have Scottish in there as well. So I've got Scottish on both sides of the family, and Scotland was colonized a lot by the Vikings. And so that is quite possible to have Viking blood in you. And since I also have Scottish on both, I have Scottish on both sides of the family, which is kind of interesting. And plus, I also have some Scandinavian blood in me as well, according to my DNA. Anyway, back on track. So yeah, so now we've got, just on this one portion of the tree, we've got Kent, Adams, and Sykes. And I'm like, there has to be a connection. And I have this big floating tree that's floating all around, and I need to hook that into my main tree. And when I looked up most of my Kents, my Sykes, and my Adams, most of those are in this floating portion, this floating puzzle piece that I have to find where it fits. So now I have 3 possible ways to connect it. I was like, oh, this is driving me crazy. And my last name, Eakins, keeps popping up in all of these places. With marriage to the Kent, there's a Kent marriage, there's a marriage to the Kent that involves Eakins, there's a marriage to the Adams that involves Eakins, there's a marriage to the Syke that involves Eakins. So there's all these Eakins connections that fit in. So now I've got to find out how that it's in my main tree that fits into this that it's in this floating tree where I've got Eakins in there. I'm sort of like, oh, I've got to find that missing piece. But on the main tree, my 4th great-grandmother, who I got connected with somebody with DNA match the other day, my 4th great-grandmother on that side of the family also has ties to Adams. And so I'm like thinking maybe we're going through the Adams. So it's really quite exciting because so the reason I've got the floating tree and not as a separate tree, the reason I have it as a floating tree, as a separate tree, because when that connection gets made, it's easier for me to match them, to slot those puzzle pieces in together. If I've got it as a separate tree, I can't slot those pieces in. I have to literally copy it over in some way. So, and I just wish that there was a way that Ancestry had that you could import a tree, you could mark out who it's going to be connected to on one tree, mark out who's going to be connected on the other tree, and merge them together from 2 different trees. I wish they had that thing. Or to be able to take a portion of the tree and move it, and just move half of it out into a separate tree. So like we've got a husband and wife, and you need to put them into 2 different trees to work on it. So like I have one tree, it has all my side of the family on it, it has all Brad's side of the family on it, but it would be nice to be able to split that tree and still have the main tree, but copy out just Brad's side of the family and put it into a separate tree. So Brad's boys have access to it, other family members have access to it as well, rather than them having an access to that tree as well as all of my side of the family. So I would like to be able to split it that way, but they don't have that option. I'm going to have to send a note into their help chat and say, hey, as a thing, can we split our trees, please? And that would make my tree a little smaller as well, because I've got like close to 10,000 people in that one tree, with both my side of the family, Brad's side of the family, and these floating trees that are in there. So it's gotten quite exciting. So I was typing all of this information in, and this tree also has connections back to other Eakins that I've been tracking for a while, because I know that they fit, and I know that they fit into the tree. I just don't know where in the tree they fit, and it's really annoying. So I've got like all these different possible connections of how these people fit into the tree, and this floating portion has so many Eakins in there. And then of course now we've thrown in Kents and Adams and Sykes, and I'm like, this is going to be nuts. And that could be that one massive piece may connect in several different areas within my main tree. I have had this happen. There are you will come across it at some point in your tree. I haven't come across a tree yet where this has not happened, where cousins get married and have children. And it could be second cousins that get married and have children, or first cousins that get married and have children. So I do have those in my tree, and trying to join them up has been quite entertaining. But so I'm really like into sorting this tree out, and I'm going to be working on other areas of the tree as well. But now I've got this big, massive piece that could have multiple connections to my tree, or it could be just one. We don't know yet. So got to keep digging got to keep researching and digging further and checking everything that, the records as I go. Is this definitely, there was some today that I was looking at that came up in the hints, and I like using hints in Ancestry, and this is why, because some of the information they have there is correct. Others might give you, it is a hint for a reason. It is a hint to, hey, check this out. It may fit in your tree. So it's like a clue. You're solving a mystery. It's like a clue. So let's go down this path and have a look at this. But it's just been, it's a wild ride, I tell you. And so not all of the clues are going to fit, but some might. And so when you've come across one that you're looking at, you're going, okay, let's have a look at these people. And you start, and you've got your basic information over here. So you know what your basic information is that you have already proven. And you just start peeling back the layers and looking deeper into this information. But if you have conflicting information, like if you have different people, then you put it into a spreadsheet, or in my in this really cool software program I have, I just actually click this little button and I connect these trees to this one little button, and it actually does like a subway map, and it shows you, are they following the same information? Is there anything that's different? And that can help you decide that this is the right person, that is the wrong person, and that sort of thing. And then the other one is having to look at transcriptions. Now, when you get the census report, the census reports, the federal census reports, or whatever country you're in, their census reports are handwritten out in the 1800s and into the 1900s. They're handwritten. And so then it comes down to like, hey, we found this link in the 1910 census. Let's go, that's got your people in it that connects up. So you go and have a look, and they've got some weird name, but that's not the right name, but you go and have a look anyway. And then when you pull up the transcription, you see, oh, they have completely screwed that up. Like, what the surname is, and you're looking at it, and you can see that the handwriting did spell out that name, but whoever was transcribing completely missed and just put the wrong name in there. So there has been times where I've gone in there and I know what I'm looking for, and the computer has turned around and says, hey, you may want to check out this census. Like, I've gone through on the census reports and looked at several of them, and then I've come across one and go, okay, that there says Ekins. That's very clear of how it's spelled, Ekins. Very, very clear. But the transcriptionist has added letters in, made it look completely different. I had one that had Ekinr. And I'm like, how did they get an R out of the S? Yeah. So, and a lot of the times when they bring, like they just bought the 1950 census online in 2022, you could actually volunteer to go in. They actually had a website that you could go to and volunteer to go in there and transcribe the 1950 portions of the 1950 census. And they put them up there into these little bundles and stuff. And you just went and picked up a bundle, and it got taken offline for everybody else, but except for you. And you went in and just started transcribing. And they had the system, they had the computers going through and like doing the electronic reading of them. And so the computers had transcribed them so far, but then there were some that it wasn't sure what things were. It couldn't decipher it. You also just had to quickly look to see, they would do random search that, where you'd go and check, have they got the right name there? Does it correspond with what's on the handwritten and stuff? And you'd make corrections. You would also type in the missing information because the computer couldn't decipher it, or the decipher's got weird writing, red letters there, and it says like, okay, we've got to go look at this. So yeah, so they are using these electronic readers that are able to transcribe the handwriting, but it doesn't always do a good job. So you've got to go and so you go in and you volunteer and you help out. And I got to do some of the ones in LA, and unfortunately I couldn't do my in-laws because theirs was, somebody had already swiped that section. I was like, darn it, I wanted to do that one. But yeah, I helped out with the 1950 census. I helped out with the 1940 census when that came online in 2012. But they come out every 72 years. So the next release is going to be the 1960s, and that won't come out till 2032. But yeah, it's a lot of fun if you can go in and you can help do these. And then there's other places that you can go where they are looking for volunteers to help transcribe other information off other documents like marriage certificates, death records, birth records, baptisms, that sort of stuff, so that they can electronically index the information so that when people go searching for it, it's there for them and they're able to see what it says. And so, but there's also times too where somebody's done the transcription, I go and go, yeah, that's not correct. But there's a little button that you can, on Ancestor, there's a little button you can go to where you can report an issue and type in what it's supposed to be. And then it will then have the name as it was transcribed at the time. And then underneath in square brackets, it will have what the corrected name is, or what the people think the corrected name is. And like this one that had Ekinr, I was like, yeah, no, that's not right. So I submitted it, and I forgot to go back and check to see if they had it up to date. It doesn't take them long to put them up. So yeah, so that's some of the fun that you can have with genealogy. You can help out, and it's just volunteer work, be as transcriptionist, doing, an hour a day, 30 minutes a day. And some of them just go through very, very, very quickly. And other ones you've got to take a little time to read it through. But with it, as technology advances and everything else, they're getting better and better. But you still need the eyeballs on there to double check everything and make sure everything looks good. So here she comes. So that's it from us for today. I've got, I just want to get back into it again, but my brain's getting a little fried. So we're going to go for a walk now, clear the brain, come back, have some dinner to give it some nutrition, and then we'll be back to maybe doing some more research tonight, or I might leave it till tomorrow. I haven't decided yet. But all I know is that I'm having a really, really good time on this particular project. I don't have a client project to work on for genealogy right now, so I'm having to get my genealogy fixed by working on my own tree, which is kind of fun. And now that I have these two people who have contacted me, it's like, how am I related to you? Let's go find out. So yeah, and I've done that before as well when people have contacted me. There was one who how did he contact? Oh, he contacted me through the DNA match thing, and we started working on it. And it turned out we were seventh cousins. Seventh cousins once removed. I think we were once removed, but we're seventh cousins. And he came in through this one tree. And now I've been in contact over the years with the person who is doing a one name research on this particular surname. And what a one name research is that they are looking at only that surname, and their tree is only full of people with that particular surname. Yes, they will have their married names if they're a female and they get married. Of course, their last name changes, so that's the end of their trail. But it's tracing through this, and you're tracing this one name and trying to put all these together. And Richard's done a phenomenal job with the Scantleberry name, which comes in on my mum's side. And so this guy contacted me. He's in Canada, and I traced him through the Scantleberry line and said, this is where you are and this is how we're related. And so I actually introduced him to Richard, and Richard put him into the private Facebook group that we have, where we're all Scantleberries in there, or descendants of Scantleberries, and there's just people coming in all the time. And then Richard, then Richard brought in these other two people, and so he had the one from Canada, and then he brings these other two people from Wales, and they're my seventh cousins. And so I said, oh, you guys will be first cousins once removed to this guy. And so got them talking to each other. So it's been kind of cool when you can introduce family members to other family members, even though there's a long distance between you. Like, seventh cousins is quite a distance away, but being able to introduce them to closer cousins was really kind of cool to do that. So, you never know where researching a family tree is going to take you. It's a lot of fun, and I absolutely just love it. And I've got all these little clues and hints and everything else. And so now I've got to see how, and of course I still haven't done the bachelor side of his family. So I've got to look at that side as well, because we could have a connection through that way. And, but none of the other surnames that he has on there fits in. So we will be, I'm going to go work on the other one as well and get that done and see if we have another connection in that way. Because I think the bachelor side, actually comes in on my mum's side. But because he's got so many surnames in common on my dad's side, I'm thinking that's where our connection is going to be. But you never know. Although Ancestry seems to think we're related on the paternal side, so we're going to keep working on the dad's side of things, and we'll still touch on the other side to make sure we cover all the bases, because one of the things that we have in our genealogy standards is that you research anything, you research every angle that you possibly can until you totally run out of options, and you've looked at everything that you can possibly look at. And it even talks about how to prove things, and we've got steps to go through. So if you are researching genealogy, this is your little Bible. It's got your genealogy standards in it, and what you have to do, how you assemble your research, how you do your reports, the DNA evidence, about collecting data, about planning your research, all of that. It's all in here. You talk about processes and procedures. It's all in here. And then we've got the term of glosses, but this is the one I like. This one here, the evidence analysis map. So when you're doing a project, you have to figure out, is the source original, derivative, or authored? Is the information primary, primary, which is first-hand, secondary, which is second-hand, or undetermined? And the evidence, is it direct, which is explicit, indirect, not explicit, or negative, not explicit? And then you have to analyze that, and it all comes down here to proof. So it lays it out there for you. These are the procedures you have to go through in order to prove something, to prove that something is a fact. So I've done a lot of quick scratches, quick collections of information, and because I didn't want to lose it, so I've put in there. But I can also flag some information in there too to say that I've put this here because of this reason, and I can go back and clean it up and take it through my steps and figure out, is it proof enough, and then we can move from there. So anyway, I'm out of here, gonna go walk the dog, get some food, and probably sit on this for tonight because there's been a lot of stuff in there. And then I'll tackle it again tomorrow. I've got some more client work to do in the morning, and then I'll tackle it again tomorrow. So go out, have a super fantastic sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys back tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Yes. Hey, konera.